In this video, we're going to explain to you some of the things we have learned the hard way about selecting college majors. I changed my major 13 times in college, fun fact.
I changed my major exactly 0 times in college. That's the difference between us.
But it makes an incredible difference in the future, and a lot of the information you're being given by your school, and especially grad schools, is not something you should rely on. And so we want to give you a little bit of perspective as you're making that important decision.
Absolutely. In fact, it's really interesting. If you go search for like best college majors, most of the stuff that comes up is like highest paying college majors. Mm-hmm. And I think that going down that route is a really big mistake. Because what you get your degree in, an undergraduate degree in, has only minimal impact on how much you're going to be able to earn over the course of your career, even within a few years. And there are some specific examples we're going to give in this video where like the degree itself, the average starting salary is probably pretty low, but that's because it leads to a career that if you go down that path, it's much, much better.
Yeah, an example, I saw this when I was selecting where to go. I went to law school. Huge mistake, by the way. But when you look at law schools, you'll see one school will say, oh, average starting salary coming out of Stanford is $150,000 or whatever, right? And you're like, well, I want to go there. Look at the ROI on that. Yeah. And then you realize like, oh, nobody pays you to earn $150,000 except for the few firms that want to own your soul and you're working 100 hours a week. And then you realize like, oh, but if I go to Stanford and get a job with actually a good lifestyle, I could have just gone to the local school as well and earned the same amount. Yeah. And so it's really, you got to be careful looking at these. All right, with no further ado, we'll go to your major, which turned out to be a great choice.
It was a good choice for starting a career. And my degree was in chemical engineering. And it's interesting, if you look up, again, I did a search for the top paying college majors, and I found this article from US News, okay? So these guys have some good survey data, and 10 out of 10 were engineering degrees. The number one in petroleum engineering, but you had everything from mechanical engineering to industrial engineering to computer engineering to chemical engineering, all the way up to petroleum engineering. The top 10 majors. And so the field of engineering is just a good field to get in. Not all engineering is the same. Not all are created equal in terms of salary. And not all have really the same.
I think when a lot of people think engineering, they think I'm going to be making blueprints for buildings.
Right. And that's like one group of engineering. Mm-hmm. Civil and structural engineers make blueprints for buildings. And actually, they didn't make the top 10 list in terms of salary. Electrical engineers are designing electrical stuff, right? Chemical engineers are designing chemical processes. Petroleum engineers are mining and refining oil.
Pipelines.
Yeah, it's all about, it's actually the biggest thing about that is like separating crude oil into all the different components. It's a big aspect of engineering, which by the way, if you want to become a petroleum engineer and the college you'd like to go to that's inexpensive doesn't have a petroleum engineering major, chemical engineering does just fine. A lot of chemical engineering graduates go work in the petroleum engineering field. So there you go. Engineering, still a great opportunity for many years to come. We need more and more engineers in this high-tech world.
So business is another option for you, and it's just so common. It's the biggest major out there. I think a lot of people pick business because they want to do something in the business world and they're not really sure what. And there's definitely value to it. What I found being a business major was it was very theoretical. It was about like, how to write an interoffice memo and, like principles of just generalities, but business is so broad that what I found, at least for me, and as we're hiring people for our company and looking elsewhere, I would much rather see somebody who has this particular specialty to fit into my business. I would rather hire a computer programmer for this. I would rather hire a communications person for this, someone with a broadcasting degree for that. Someone with a general business degree can do a lot of things okay. And so there's nothing wrong with the degree, but I just want you to consider before becoming a business major, maybe there are places in business that you could do better at by coming in with a specialty. And so one that I might consider especially right now is communications. Every business on the planet is working more on the web, working more with social media, working with graphics. Like, it's just becoming more and more important, and communications teaches all of those skills. You'll know everything from, video and public relations, like sending out press releases, to marketing and statistics and Photoshop and a lot of other things. Those are really valuable for a lot of businesses
today. A lot
today.
more like hands-on practical skills that will allow you to go into, like somebody with a business degree that decides they want to go into journalism, that's not a good fit. But a comm degree can put you all over the place. The next one is computer programming. There are various different majors that you can go into that will get you along this path. Computer engineering, computer programming, computer science, all of these kind of get you along that path. That said, you got to be a little bit careful. It's easy to think that, in today's world, I should go into IT.
Or tech.
Yeah, tech, right? And you could find yourself, though, going into a major where you're learning all about routers and networking and that sort of stuff. And honestly, with that degree, you're probably going to get hired for an hourly wage type of a job.
$15 to $25 an hour just working at a help desk in a big company.
Exactly. You need to be the person that understands development, software development, just the actual code and how this all works.
Yep.
Another really good recommendation for somebody that is going to go the development path is there's this trend now towards what's called DevOps, which is like mixing software development with operations, and then with agile project management and all these things going on. It's important for developers to understand business operations as well. So if you do decide to go get a degree in one of these computer programming fields, I recommend you go take at least a couple of electives in the business degree. Yeah, go learn about business operations. And it feels like it's not going to make any sense because they're going to be talking to you about like manufacturing and queues and lines and all this stuff, and it actually is a really good fit. So something to consider for sure.
Next, we're going to talk about a few medical related ones. Nursing is a great place to go. The medical field is still hot. There's a lot of money to be made there. Generally, a nurse is going to make very good money. And the amount of schooling is required is not too bad compared to a lot of other things in the medical related space. Plus, there's also the next level of nursing where you could go into something a little bit more specialized, such as being a nurse anesthetist. They make great money. It's not like all of the schooling of a MD, but you can make really good money being a nurse anesthetist. So those are great options. Then if you wanted to go like a PA route, a physician's assistant, they can do most of the things that a general practice physician will do. And they require a lot less school to get there. So a PA could be an awesome idea, and you'd want to get a biology degree or something related in there closely to go after that.
Yep, along those same lines, really, there are so many different options because you can be a nurse practitioner, that you could go the nursing route and be kind of like a PA, but you're a nurse practitioner. You could become a surgical assistant. So let's say you really like the idea of surgery, but the idea of like 9 years of schooling after your bachelor's degree, between residency and all the things you have to do to become a surgeon, it's like I could be a surgeon's assistant, make good money, and get that fill in my career of getting to do surgery, but you could do it with far less education. And again, so for that, again, something like a biology degree where you're studying anatomy and all sorts of things like that is going to be a really good fit to prepare yourself for that.
Data scientist is the next one, and it actually tops some of the rankings. I read an article last week for job satisfaction.
Oh, wow.
And I think the reason is some of the very biggest companies in the world, especially the tech companies, that's who they want to hire right now. It is all about big data at all these companies. And so a data scientist is a red hot degree to be in. Now, to get into data science, you can actually come from several different things. Some colleges won't have a data science degree, but they may have statistics or physics or some kind of very related mathematics.
Anything along those lines. Once you get that bachelor's degree, then you can seek a professional certification in data science. That's something I would do, like go get yourself an entry-level job as a data scientist at a company, and then while you're working, you work toward that certification. Yeah. And then sometime down the road, if you really want to get into it and be one of those top paying guys, go get a master's in data science. That is a fairly common master's degree available today now.
Plus, like, as somebody who hates math, statistics is actually pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
It's very different than a lot of other math. So if you're a little bit turned off by math, take a class in statistics. You may find that it's a lot different than the rest. At least I did.
I would agree with that. I went the engineering path, so I went really deep into calculus and differential equations and fairly advanced stuff. But statistics is like, it's cool. I really enjoy statistics. I used to look down on the statistics people, be like, those are the guys that can't do calculus, right? And then I took statistics and I was like, actually, this is far more applicable to the real world than most of the calculus I've learned.
That is true.
So there you go.
Last, the one that is closest to our heart is entrepreneurship. Both of us got advanced degrees, but both of us are now not using them because we're entrepreneurs. Usually when a college student is thinking about entrepreneurship, they're thinking, I need to go invent something. I need to make some kind of crazy software that's going to change the world, the new Facebook, whatever. And very little of entrepreneurship is anything like that at all, where you're creating any kind of new category of anything. Most entrepreneurs, small business owners, are people like accountants. Yes, you can go work at a big company and be an accountant and they do really well, but also you can do really well just becoming an accountant, a CPA, and then opening up your own little firm. You know, there are going to be dozens of CPAs in every town. And
they're all busy.
They're all busy and they're all entrepreneurs. Yeah. Same thing as lawyers. A lot of lawyers are not working in a big corporate office. They're opening up, they're kind of putting out their own shingle and becoming that. A physical therapist, etc. Look at all the small businesses around you as you're driving around. They're all entrepreneurs, even if they took a professional degree in different spots.
Exactly. So you might think like, I really like the idea of entrepreneurship someday, so maybe I should go get a degree in business. Again, back to that, like if you go get a degree in business, you're kind of good at a lot of things. Realistically, you're probably better off deciding like what's the field I'm more interested in. Go get that as your field of study. Go get your degree in that. But then take some electives in business when it's like, I want to learn a few things. I took a class in college as a chemical engineer. I knew someday I might be interested in entrepreneurship. I took a class called Entrepreneurship for non-business majors.
There you go.
And it was taught by a guy who made millions of dollars starting his own company. And once he sold it, the school was like, hey, do you want to come volunteer and teach this class? Not a professor, an entrepreneur. And it was awesome. I learned a ton. So
next video you've got to watch is the college majors to avoid.
Oh, yeah.
And those could be some big mistakes. Like a lawyer. We mentioned that they can be entrepreneurs, and there are some redeeming qualities, but there are definitely some things to watch out for. So check out that next video, college majors to avoid if you want to have a future.